He is Mr. WrestleMania himself, HBK, one of the greatest of all time, Shawn Micheals. Welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling.
Thank you very much for having me, and thanks for the the very glowing review there about everything I did a gazillion years ago.
Yes, and obviously one of the greatest ever, but let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now, and that is the movie 90 Feet from Home. Kind of a big acting role for you, but the thing is with me, I always remember you like the heel, the villain, but I've never seen you kind of in this way. You're playing the abusive stepfather. Was this kind of a big stretch for you? Because you obviously played a great heel with DX and all that stuff and throughout your career early on with the Heartbreak Kid, but 90 Feet from Home, playing this abusive stepfather, what was that like?
Yeah, that was it was very different, way out of my wheelhouse, way out of my comfort zone, especially now. As you know, I've mentioned in a few of these interviews, and of course, those that are familiar with my wrestling career, even the bad guy version of me, there was still a little bit of fun and some charm, and almost a Dennis the Menace quality to my to the bad guy version of me. And this was totally different than anything I've ever done. It was clearly evil, a great deal of hatred and dysfunction, and honestly, that was the most intimidating part about all this, especially now at this point in my life. I mean, I am a relatively happy-go-lucky, pretty easygoing 53-year-old man, and so the later version of Jimmy Devine, I felt was something I would be more comfortable with. But the early version, the younger version with the violence and the abuse, and honestly, yeah, just the hatred and the vitriol that character had was something that, honestly, I don't know that I've ever, even at my worst, I think, been maybe quite that bad. So that was obviously the most challenging part, and through the experience, found that trying to create that was a bit of an uncomfortable process, I have to admit.
It is. When I watched the film, I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be a dark character, but I mean, it really was a dark character. You didn't want the stepson playing baseball, but you kind of, went about it, like you said, in an evil kind of crazy way. Because, you are such a devout Christian, was that very difficult to almost find that in yourself, to play that crazy of a character?
Well, yeah. Well, again, it's the one thing that I guess helps me is that there's yin and the yang to everything. For humility, righteousness, all of those things. There's evil, there's hate, there's pride, and I really don't think you can appreciate the one truly unless you have a real understanding of the other. And so, from that standpoint, certainly I had peace within myself as far as doing the role, but honestly, the challenge was, again, knowing and wondering if I could commit to going there in a very uninhibited, no-holds-barred way. Again, I was very concerned because, again, I don't. It's you bring out qualities that even if they're, I don't know, maybe I would, they're in all of us, and so, but gosh, you worked, so majority of us work most of our lives trying to get away from those and I don't know, keep them under wraps and secure them in a little lockbox in our heart or in our mind or something. You work very hard to not allow them to get out, and this was a time when you're supposed to. So it's a bit I don't know, kind of strange, I guess. And again, I as I've told everybody, I don't know that I certainly don't have the experience to be able to just turn something like that on and off. Again, with like a switch, I haven't been acting long enough to just manufacture that on command. And so, for me, it was a process of trying to get there and allow yourself to I don't know, engage with this side of you that you have really, really never been in touch with, not to that depth, and certainly even those areas that you have at one time in your life, you've distanced yourself so far from them that it's kind of strange to want to allow yourself to willingly go there.
And this is such a different role, like you mentioned, such a dark character. But you think wrestling, because a lot of people think like, oh, wrestlers can just jump into acting and kind of go back and forth, but it is a lot harder than people think. You think wrestling helped prepare you for acting? Obviously, you've been in other acting roles before, but do you think being a wrestler and being so good in front of the camera, you think that made it easier transition for your acting career?
For sure, yeah. Again, look, there's just there's a comfortableness on camera. There's just an overall comfortableness in performing in general, and again, allowing yourself, stripping yourself of a lot of insecurities, a lot of walls that a lot of stuff that you may put up. Again, allowing yourself to really embrace every emotion in the spectrum, I think, is something that I was fortunate enough to really try to do in my wrestling career, especially as it went on, as the product and as the fan base got more sophisticated and started to appreciate and understand a lot more of the subtleties and nuances that even the wrestling world was starting to embark on. That was something that as I got older, I really enjoyed. After a while, you especially for me, you sort of play you're sort of playing the same guy for the most part for the majority of your career, and the only way to experience any type of range is to allow that character to run the gambit of emotions, from a storyline standpoint, and that was something that, again, I had the opportunity to do in my career. So I would definitely believe that helps you get over a lot of those inhibitions that one might normally have, not having had that experience.
Absolutely, and obviously, acting is a big part of your what you're doing now. But being down in NXT at the Performance Center training, and I always see the trainers down there. I'm like, okay, this guy is great, or this, William Regal is great, or this guy, it's great to have Robbie Brookside. But when you have a legitimate Hall of Fame main eventer for many years training the guys, I think that kind of brings it to another level, right? Having you down there almost kind of elevates it even further. Having Shawn Micheals, my God, down at the Performance Center, that can't be anything but a huge, huge positive for those kids.
Well, and again, that's I will say this: they have got, honestly, what they've got going there is so phenomenal that I got to be honest. It doesn't really matter, respectfully, what kind of credentials you come in with. You have got, the most important thing one needs to understand about working at the Performance Center and NXT is you want to add to what is already a part of a phenomenal system. And that was honestly my biggest, you notice it as soon as you come in the door. And that's something that hits you right in the face when you come in. And that was honestly the most important thing that I expressed with Hunter and Matt is, my goodness, what you guys got here is really great. I would love to be a part of this, but only if I can enhance it and make it better and add to what is already a very fluid and efficient system. And look, and a lot of that is just trying to find your place. Again, because they've got so much covered, you start to look at it as where can I help the most, and so I hope I've been able to do that. It's been a sheer joy to be a part of it. It's been a great learning experience for me, which is one of the things that I strangely enough I said to everybody when I got there is that I really feel like if I'm if I'm to do well here, I will learn as much as I hope to be teaching, and I really do think that that's happened. That I'm hoping that the product has and will continue to get better with all of the people that we're adding, myself included. But it's exciting for me again because at this late stage of your life, learning other aspects of the wrestling business, the business that I've loved since I was 12. It's pretty special. It's you don't always imagine yourself 53 years old and being in the same line of work you've been in since you were 19 and still learning to learn new and different aspects of it. And that's to do that again with your buddies, and then of course with a bunch of talent that is a joy to work with. And clearly makes it easier that they're a generation that sort of grew up with me and Road Dogg and Hunter. And so right now I feel like it's something that works for all of us in a real positive way.
And you could definitely tell when you're down there. I mean, I feel like it's kind of elevated the guys like Gargano and stuff. I feel like his matches are getting better. Not saying it's all you, but it's definitely a product of having a guy like a Shawn Micheals, which is kind of hard to believe. Like, man, this guy is your trainer. It's pretty amazing for those kids down there.
Well, again, I hope so. Like I said, they've been just a joy and a blessing to me. And so, if I can do half for them that what they've done for me, honestly, it'll be a win-win. And I think look, a lot of it is there's a lot of we have a great deal in common. That generation is a lot like I was and Hunter was, wanting to try new stuff, wanting to embark and be innovative on a new and different level than what's been done in the past. That every now and then you're not sure if that the people you're with or around or working for want you to do that. And I think that's been the biggest help that maybe we've done for these guys is encourage them to do that, to again, not be the same as everybody else, to continue to grow, continue to try to learn more and advance. Again, it's one thing to look at what was done in the past and maybe, copy some of the important things, but the most important thing is to carve new ground. And I think that's what they wanted to do, and I think that certainly that's what we encourage them to do. And I think that's made them all a lot more passionate about a line of work that they were already pretty darn passionate about.
Now with you, I mean, my God, if you name the amount of great matches you've had, you'd literally be here all day talking. But just want to kind of say, matches with The Undertaker, just obviously off the charts. The Hell in a Cell, the WrestleMania matches are great. But my favorite Shawn Michaels feud, I'm sure you hear this all the time, is with Bret Hart. And it's funny that maybe you guys didn't always get along behind the scenes, but in the ring was just some of the best matches. How does the chemistry like that just form? Is this just two great wrestlers coming together? Because that doesn't always mesh well. But for whatever reason, even when you guys were the Rockers and the Hart Foundation, you and Bret Hart seem to always mesh well together.
Yeah, well, and again, there are. I've been fortunate, I think, in my career to have that far more, many more times than I ever didn't have it. And Bret was one of those guys. So, and I think everybody would agree. Certainly on paper, you look at Bret and I, and you go like, it's no stretch to have chemistry. But you'd be surprised every now and then you run into somebody with as much talent, but it just isn't quite there the same. And fortunately, Bret and I, heck, we knew that when the first time we ever got in the ring together. I think in a tag team, it's one of those things that you do. It only takes just a couple touches of one another, and you know that okay, there's something special here. This, you file it away, and you know that this is going to come, to fruition in an even better way, in a more positive way, in the future. And again, that's something that Bret and I had. And again, I was, I had that with Jericho, and I was fortunate to have it with a decent amount of guys. But when you put together certainly the ability, of a Bret Hart, and and certainly I like to feel like I had okay ability too. So
yeah, of course.
You have that, and then you've also got chemistry with each other. It's a pretty tough combination, to beat.
And with you, I always think about anybody you put in the ring with Shawn Michaels at pretty much any point in your career, it was going to be a good match. You throw you in there with Psycho Sid, who's a completely, obviously different wrestler than Bret Hart. Somehow, he's going to have an awesome match. Kevin Nash, awesome match. Scott Hall, awesome match. Triple H. Throw in Mick Foley. I mean, they're all great in their own right, but it's always the same common denominator that Shawn Michaels was also in that match. What do you think is kind of like your legacy in wrestling? Is it that, oh my God, like he can adapt to anybody, have a good match with anybody, he's the best ever? Like, what do you think is your legacy? Because you're definitely up there.
You know what? I'll say this. I've been doing this so long that question's come up so much that it's almost gotten to the point where I don't even give it thought anymore, because all of those things, it's in the eye of the beholder. It honestly is. For me, it's impossible now for me at my age, and again, I've been like this since I came back in 2002, to not honestly look at the whole thing, remember how it started, which was, again, you're too small, and it's going to be very tough. If you can just sort of make a living doing this line of work, you will count yourself pretty darn lucky. And it went so far beyond that. Again, I broke in when it was before it was even big. It was 1985. It was just starting to, again, there was this crazy promoter in the Northeast that was going to, have this idea about taking wrestling worldwide, but a huge risk, and it was horrific, and he was ruining the wrestling business and all of those things. And so for me, that's, again, it is. It's very hard for me not to look at stuff from the very beginning. And it is so far and away. Again, I now have a wife and a family, and we live a life that we absolutely never thought was ever going to be possible. And so I don't, and I guess because of that, it's very difficult for me to think about a legacy in, and again, I don't mean it to ever be disrespectful of the wrestling business, but it's an entertainment line of work. It's not based on any kind of reality, and I do my best to judge my life and my worth by, again, by what I have, in my real life, my family, my job. I've got a wonderful family. I have wonderful friends, and so far it's been a pretty special life. So for me, that's a success, and it's all the success that I need. And where everyone decides, the wrestling business and the opinions on me will go up and down, positive and negative, and I will be the greatest by one guy, and I will be so overrated and average by the next guy that it's really difficult. I would think for someone. I think if you give that stuff too much thought, man, you're like a boat on the on the washing waves, man. That's no way to live.
Now, obviously, everything's kind of coming back to 90 Feet from Home. I would highly recommend everybody go and see this film. It's so good. It's so different. Obviously, Eric Roberts is in it as well, makes a small appearance. Dean Cain as well. So there's some well-known actors besides yourself in there. It's a dark, it's a real drama, but please just give one last pitch for 90 Feet from Home.
Well, certainly appreciate it. And again, for me, I want to thank Bret Bettman for giving me the opportunity. I mean, it was a role with real depth, real range, and that is just not something that, I don't know, doesn't come a lot of WWE wrestlers' way, and certainly there are people that are far more experienced and better at this job than I was, and so I really appreciate the opportunity that he gave me so that I could find out if I even had a snowball's chance in heck trying to do this stuff. It was a great deal of fun, a joy to do, and a film that we're all really proud of.
Now, please give us, some plugs, not only for the movie, but for yourself. Where can the fans reach out, find Shawn Michaels, wherever they need to find him, whether it be social media or otherwise?
Well, I guess that's all I got. I guess is the Twitter. It's at Shawn Micheals, and I don't even do that much. So I got to get better at doing that. But that's about it. And then, of course, heck, pay attention to all those kids at NXT, man. They are the future, and heck, they're present. They're phenomenal now.
Awesome stuff. And just one more final thing for me, because I'm just so curious about this. HBK, a.k.a. HB Shizzle, which is a great nickname that you made up. Is an in-ring return ever a possibility again? I mean, you look great at Crown Jewel. You literally look like you never stopped working out, which is crazy to say that, you're in your 50s, but you look like, body-wise, look like you're in your 20s. Any chance of any more in-ring returns?
No, this is, I will leave it to the younger generation. They're doing a fantastic job. I'm good with what's been done, and I'm good. I'm all set.
All right. Thank you so much. And I'll say it since you won't say it, one of the greatest of all time. Not underrated, not overrated, perfectly rated, one of the greatest of all time. Thank you so much, Shawn Micheals. Really, really appreciate it. And please, everyone out there, go see 90 Feet from Home.
Thank you very much.